Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Today we are looking at Ecclesiastes Chapter 11. I do hope that you pause this recording to read the chapter for yourself. But this chapter is quite interesting. I'm not going to read the chapter for you like word for word because I want you guys to learn how to read the word for yourself. So pause this recording, read the chapter, understand what is happening in the chapter, and I promise you this chapter is quite I found it very interesting. And I'm going to jump in right to the verses that caught my attention. And the first one was in verse 1. Like I was literally, my attention was caught in the first verse. And it says, ship your grain across the sea. After many days, you may receive a return. First, I find it a little bit discouraging that it's not a guarantee that if you ship your grains across the sea that you will find a return. You may find a return. That's why it says, ship your grain across the sea. Solomon is telling us, don't just sit on what you have. Move it. Try it. Send it out. Invest it. Not only money, but your skills, your talents, your time, your kindness, your attention, your relationship, your energy. Build bridges, not just budgets. Don't just sit there and say, let me keep this talent to myself. Let me keep my time to myself. Let me keep my energy to myself. Oh, I will live alone without, having any relationships. Solomon is saying, ship your grain across the sea. Whatever it is that God has given you. It can be a skill, it can be a talent, it can be your time, it can be your attention, your energy, the relationships, and just the capacity that you have to make relationships with people. Just ship it and you may receive a return. I don't like the may in that verse, but it is the truth of the matter. It's a fact. And then the other verse that caught my attention is verse 2. And it says, invest in 7 ventures. Yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. In other words, it says, don't put all your hope in one thing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. One person or one outcome. As in, there are people who are just like, Mimi, my only hope is my husband. My only hope is my job. My only hope is if this comes out this way. Don't put all your hope in one thing, in one person, in one outcome, or even in one plan. Because life will life. Life is life and it will life. And sometimes it does not ask for permission. As a matter of fact, most times it does. As a matter of fact, life never asks for permission to life. It just lives. And notice that he doesn't say if disaster comes. He says you don't know what disaster may come. So disaster is coming. It's just that we don't know what disaster is coming. Let me tell you, for as long as we are living on this side of the heavens, disaster will come. And I'm not trying to be a prophet of doom. I'm not trying to, spoil your positive mind or positive thinking. No, it's just a reality. It's a fact that we live in this world. And in this world, there are people and there are many people who are greedy, who are seeking for power, who are seeking for, for some sort of I don't know even what to call it. And they will make mistakes that will cost us our lives. It's unfortunate. COVID-19 was someone's mistake and it costed people's lives. So because we do not know what disaster may come, that's the point, that there is uncertainty. And uncertainty is not a possibility. It is a reality. The wisdom here is not to control or to hoard or to, to do the things that we humans like to do. Like when there's a crisis, we enter into the supermarket and we buy 50 toilet papers and all the packets of milk that we can get. That's not the wisdom. Because you don't have control over what will happen. The wisdom is to spread. Build networks. Build friendships. Build your skills. Build spiritual depth. So that if one area shakes, your whole life does not come collapsing with it. That is why sometimes when I like to ask, like when I am journaling, I ask myself, how am I doing intellectually? What books am I reading? How am I doing spiritually? How am I doing socially? Am I finding time to meet with my family and my friends? Am I finding time to meet with friends who can, challenge my way of thinking? How am I doing financially? Am I saving money? Am I investing money? Am I, it takes a whole lot of different aspects to make a whole human being. So invest in all of them, so that if that disaster comes that shakes your social life, that your spiritual life is okay. That disaster comes that shakes your financial, that your spiritual is okay. That your social capital is still there. So invest. And sometimes when you say, don't put all your eggs in one, sometimes it feels like, oh my goodness, no, I don't even have money to invest in one thing. No, you're telling me to invest in not 7, but 8. Sometimes we think of it in such a limited way because we think it's only finances that we can invest. But you can invest your time in people. You can invest your energy. You can invest your talent. You can build your spiritual depth. You can build your intellectual depth. You can build your social capital. Like, there are so many things that we can do that don't even require money for us to invest in. So let us not lock our minds by thus thinking that the only way to invest is money. Because there are many people who are limited in that way, where we don't actually have money to be investing in 8 things, let alone even one. We don't even have money to be investing in one thing, let alone 8 things, So that's the thing. Build networks, friendship, skills, spiritual depth, social capital, so that when one area shakes, your whole life does not come collapsing with it. There's also a very blunt kind of wisdom in verse 4 that says, whoever watches the wind will not plant, and whoever looks at the clouds will not reap, because they're thinking, it's about to go and rain, we can't go and reap. Or they're thinking, it's about to, let's wait until the first raindrop rains so then we can go and plant. Or let's wait until it's been raining for a whole so that we can go and plant. In simple terms, if you wait for perfect conditions, you will miss real opportunities. There will always be wind. There will always be clouds. Something will always feel slightly off. Timing will feel off. Money will feel off. Sometimes confidence will feel off. Clarity will feel not clear. And sometimes you won't even have approval of people. Not everybody you tell something will approve of it. And if you're always waiting for everything to line up, you will end up losing out on so many opportunities. And this is not a call to recklessness. I'm not saying now ignore wisdom and skip due diligence. It is saying don't confuse uncertainty with a stop sign. Don't think that uncertainty means stop. No. Do your checking, yes. Plan, yes. But at some point, you have to move anyway. You move regardless. You step in anyway. Because life rarely offers full certainty before movement, and most growth only reveals itself after you have started. So maybe the real question is not is everything perfect? The real question is, have I done enough for me to move? Have I thought through this thing enough for me to move? And am I willing to trust what I can't yet see? And then you move. Ask yourself, have I thought about this? Yes. Have I thought about this? Yes. What if this happened? Yes. If things are not always going to be certain, you're not always going to have clarity. The timing is not always going to be right. You will never have enough money to do it. You will never have enough confidence to do it. And you will never have everybody's approval for you to do it. So you plan, you do your checking, and then move and start it anyway. And trust the Lord for the things that you cannot yet see. Thank you so much for listening, and see you tomorrow.